So when fascists and dictators take over, what they typically do is fire. They get rid of employees and workers who actually know what they're doing and have integrity and intend to do their job right as it is. And in their place, they hire lackeys and sycophants for the new regime. So in this case, I mean, I'm sure everybody has heard about that plane crash where, now if you look at it, they'll say, a plane crashed into a helicopter, and that's not true. We could see the helicopter flying directly at the plane and crashing into it. It was like a military helicopter. That just doesn't happen. Like, it didn't see that huge plane. Give me a break, okay? Something, I have to be careful what I say. So what's happening now? The Trump administration is blaming DEI hires, right? You know, and if you're anyone but a straight white male, you're a DEI hire, right? That's what it is. And the Trump administration is blaming the fact that women were hired, and you know, minorities were hired, men who are not white were hired, you know, people with mental illness were hired. That's what he's blaming for the crash. When in reality, he got rid of actual employees who knew their job, right? He fired the head of the TSA. He put a freeze on the hiring of air traffic controllers, or I'm sorry, and then he fired. He just kept firing more and more people, and then you know, there's the head of the Federal Aviation Committee. I think that guy's name is Mike Whitaker. Was forced to retire early because he had the gall to deal harshly with Elon Musk for not following safety guidelines with the Boring Company, or whatever his company is. So the Trump administration has been firing all these people, right? And I mean, even the air traffic controllers, there weren't even enough there. And so then there's this massive plane crash, who he then blames on people who are not white and male being hired. That's what it is. This is to justify their stance of getting rid of other people in employment and in areas of society that we need, you know, whose jobs are important. We need those jobs to function. They want to fire everybody and place simply white males in charge of everything. Then one day, you know, a few decades from now, if they get their way, a few decades from now, it's just going to be white men in charge of everything, and they'll say, see, white men built everything, denying that anyone else had a hand in building society, right? But they're already firing people. They're already firing, I mean, just normal jobs, too. They're getting rid of people who were hired under the DEI, right, for, you know, diversity, equity, and, you know, inclusion. Now, because what they're saying is that people who, they're saying that people who don't deserve the jobs are getting jobs, and that's not true. That's what was happening before, right? Before people were not being hired for jobs that they were qualified for, right? And they weren't being hired because they were being passed over for white men who were less qualified, right? Black women weren't being hired, women in general, men of other races, right? They were being turned down. So all this program does is ensure that if they're qualified for the job, they're going to have as much of a chance at getting that job as a white man, right? That's all it meant. It was not meant to put people in positions that they were not qualified for. But people are being fired now, in all sectors. They're being fired on the grounds that they were DEI hires. And of course, you know, it's not white men being fired. It's women. It's men of color. It's you know, it's the BIPOC community who are being really run out of society. This is really, really getting bad. And, you know, as it is, transgender people are being denied passports. And initially it was, okay, you can't get renew your passport or get a new passport if you're going to change your gender marker. But now they're not. There have been people who have gone in and they said, okay, fine, just give me whatever gender marker you want then. You know, if you want to use my old one, use my old one. They're also being denied. They're also being denied passports, right? So that prevents them from leaving the country. I mean, if they had to flee, it would have to be like across the Canadian border or something, or across the Mexican border on refugee status, because they're going to be doing it without a passport. The stalking is getting worse, and we knew it would. Now there are more and more activists, and there are a lot of women. There are a lot of women too, coming out and saying that they're being followed, and now they're getting proof. They're showing the faces of these men who are following them. Please, 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 if you're watching this from outside of the U.S., listen to those of us who are talking to you. Okay, instead of just turning on, listening to the repeating the echo chamber, parroting out what they say on Fox News. Okay, please listen to those of us who you have access to right now, who are telling you what's happening behind the scenes. Don't just listen to the right-wing commentary, which is lie after lie after lie. They're destroying our civilization. The conservatives are, the Republicans are. They're tearing down our civilization, and they're blaming the opposition. Okay, it's right-wing Christofascist males, and the women who support them too, who are tearing down our civilization, and they're blaming everyone else. They're blaming DEI. They're blaming wokeness. They're blaming the LGBTQ plus community. They're blaming women. They're blaming men of color. They're blaming everyone. And they're using that then to take away freedom and rights, right? We live in a capitalist society. If people can't work for money, then they can't afford to live, to eat, to get medical care, right? So then they're forced into what? Slavery. Immigrants are being, and not just immigrants, too, even American citizens, legal American citizens are being caught up in those ICE raids. If they look brown, if they're speaking with, if they're speaking Spanish, okay, a family, I think it was a mother, a daughter, and a grandmother, or someone, they were taken in by ICE because they were speaking Spanish. They were legally here. They're American citizens. People are being picked up and taken away, even if they're American citizens, right? This is not the time to not be documented, and now they're trying to, the conservatives are trying to take documentation away from transgender people. Understand what I'm telling you. Okay, please believe us when we tell you what's happening. Do not listen to the conservatives who are lying to you.